got the knack for making motors crank. No, but I'm pretty good at drinking beer.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Nice.
Let's talk Melrose.
There it is.
It'll all make sense in a minute.
Okay.
I'm Tom Catalini.
I'm Jen LeClaire.
And I am Tom Shampoo.
And this is Let's Talk Melrose. Melrose, a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about Melrose, and we are East Coast and worldwide.
We are.
We are now.
That's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. Welcome, Tom. Shout out to Eugenia and Steve who can't be here, but welcome, Tom.
I'm thrilled to be here. My first time dancing with the
yes.
Doing the dance.
Doing the thing.
So when you were a correspondent,
Yes.
The feedback from the audience was overwhelming.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
So we needed
The
to,
the people loved you. Yeah.
We miss Eugenia, who couldn't be here tonight. Steve, we sent him down to the minor leagues. He's doing a little work for WBUR
Right.
this evening. Well,
Right.
we give back on this
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Exactly. We
It's
should
important-
share the talent.
it's important that people know Steve is in New Hampshire
Is in New Hampshire.
doing some real work up there.
His real
There's
work.
a primary happening
Yeah.
up there.
Yes, he can't stay away from the election.
He does not mind that stuff.
That's how he works.
But let's not undercut our own expertise now that
Oh, yes.
drum roll. Now that we have been made honorary Fulbright scholars. What is
I
that?
love it. That's just a little ditty.
I
that
wanted to
Tom
have
put
little
together.
mortarboard hats, but I realized that we had to wear the headphones, so that didn't work out. But we should tell everybody what that was, because it's just another fabulous, amazing thing that MMTV does here. So
Let me see if I got the gist of it. I think
Okay.
it was Fulbright scholars who are
Yeah.
the elite of the elite from
Yeah.
around the world in an international exchange of ideas from very sophisticated and educated people came where they wanted to learn about media.
Right.
Where else are you going to do that besides Melrose, Mass, MMTV, and its flagship operation here? Let's
Yeah.
talk Melrose.
Yeah.
So we were basically educators for the day, would you say?
yes, definitely. I don't know about that. We tried to be
Inspiration for
we
many.
were an inspiration. No, it was really cool. The students got a tour of the studio, and Mike and colleagues gave a presentation about community media and the First Amendment, and the folks are coming from around the world, where I think we often take our freedom of speech and access to the resources like this and being able to do what we do for granted, because in a lot of places they're not able to do this. Access to media and the airwaves like this, they don't have. Being able to say what we might want to say about some of the public meetings and things that are going around town, and we're really lucky that we can do this.
Yes, and we made it clear in no uncertain terms that in where we're at, anybody can have a show.
Yeah, I think they realized
They
that.
left with that message
Yeah,
loud and clear.
for sure.
I guess anybody, if these three can do it, anybody can have a show.
What was so much fun though is we did this same setup. We did like podcast recordings, and
Right.
we got to interview them. So
Yeah.
we played the theme song. We did sort of a show like atmosphere. We got to interview them and learn about what they're studying, what countries
Yeah.
they're from, and it's just fascinating stuff.
It was-
Honored to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Mike Miner, the director of Let's
Yeah.
Talk Melrose. Melrose is like the grand
He's
poobah
a
of Massachusetts,
superstar.
Fulbrights, or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
I believe that's the title. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
something along that.
It was fun. So thank you for letting
day.
us do that. The news.
Are we getting on to other news
Yes.
in Melrose?
Yeah.
I thought you gave me the signal for the news
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
So is there a lot going on as usual? And one of the things continuing, and the reason why the opening will make sense now, City Council met
Yeah.
last night in the Appropriations Committee, and then I guess the full board, about the liquor laws. And I read the Melrose Patch article Mike Karaji put out there. I watched part of the meeting on MMTV. I didn't catch the whole thing, but the gist of it is the alcohol laws are moving forward. As you may recall, Gail Inferna, as her term was wrapping up, she sent an issue to the board. Like 8 members of the city council got replaced. So now with a fresh mayor, fresh board it got resurfaced, and it looks like did it pass? Is it happening? Are there a couple more steps to go through?
So there's another step, is my understanding as well. And again, I'm only reading from the papers and from what the initial information coming out last night was that last night's vote was an initial vote. There's a second vote that has to come up still, and if that's
Is that the Liquor Commission or the full City Council?
it's the full city council
Okay.
again. They have to come together as a second separate meeting.
So it
is my
came out of
understanding.
appropriations to the full council,
Right.
and then they'll
And then
vote on it.
yeah.
again.
So
But it
it's the
seems like a
same-
done deal because it's the same group.
It's the same
right?
group of people,
Yes.
right? So I would assume that it's a done deal as well.
Yes.
And that includes, I think we should say, that includes liquor bottles of different sizes, because that was one of the issues.
Some people call them
under
nips.
contention.
Nips, yeah.
And
under
the
contention.
woman
50.
who owns Beacon Hill, she had they were like diminutive alcoholic containers. She had another phrase. She didn't like nips.
It was classier than
It was
than
way
nips.
classier.
Diminutive
I know.
spirits sounds.
I'm certain I'm wrong, but it was something
Diminutive spirits sounds like little fairies in the woods or
something
something.
along those lines. It sounded very sophisticated.
Interesting. Okay.
And so they approved it last night, from my understanding, for the 3 liquor licenses that exist in Melrose. 2 of them are in use with Buckaloo's and Beacon Hill Wine.
Okay.
wine shop.
So if
The
the
third
show
one is
if
not.
the show tanks, then we can go into
We'll open
another
up the-
business. Yeah,
yeah.
There we go. We have a backup plan.
Yes, and
Perfect.
so it's hard to keep up with everything going on
Yeah.
in town. So shout out to Mike Karaji, because minutes
Yes.
after the meeting ends, there's a report on the patch, and you can definitely
Yeah.
get the gist of what's happening.
Yep.
There was also a planning board meeting last night,
Right.
follow-up discussion about the site plan review for Marty's Furniture, 99 Washington Street. People
Yeah.
call it the Marty's Furniture Building. And do you know a little bit about that?
A very, very little bit. Honestly, I wasn't able to be there, and so I have more questions than answers. But an updated presentation is on the city's planning site now. I got to look at it really quickly before I just got here. One of the things that they were asked to come back with was a retail feasibility study. So that's there. So they represented last night. I could be wrong, but the study appears to be based on the original 400 units that sort of first went in there. I'm not seeing anything about the 1,000 units that it would be with the new Marty's development and a connection of some sort. That idea's been floated.
You're counting Oak Grove Village in that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there have been ideas floated, and I don't know if it's feasible or not. But the idea has been floated to somehow connect the two with a foot. You can't do it with vehicular traffic, but some sort of footbridge that would connect.
Over the tracks.
Yeah, that would connect all those residents, and that
So-
gives you 1,000
So-
plus residents.
Yeah, so it's
of
1,000.
residences.
It's
Yeah.
1,085 total for Oak Grove.
Yeah.
It's actually called Windsor Village now. I think they changed the name, right?
They may
So-
have, yeah.
Yeah.
So that includes the new Marty's renovation, which is 141 units, I
141
believe.
new proposed.
And that
yeah.
includes also 2 Washington and 47 Washington as well. So
Yeah.
all 4 of those complexes are 1,085 units total.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does seem like they were looking at fewer apartments.
Yeah, so
than that
I
total
need
of
I
over
need to
1,000.
I would need to kind of speak to more people to have kind of questions answered. But the presentation's there. You can go look and sort of judge for yourself. It just my initial reaction is just it seems like it's based on older information.
So
but I don't know.
I have a couple of contributions to make. One is big footbridge fan.
Yeah.
So anywhere anybody's talking about a footbridge rather than wrestling with traffic, I'm all in.
Why? Because
So-
it's diminutive and
It's because I'm very sophisticated.
I see.
I have a walking stick and
Gotcha.
and my top hat, and I will go over the footbridge
Okay.
if you don't
I
mind.
see.
The other thing is Marty's having a blowout sale.
I know they are.
Yeah.
I went this
Yeah.
past week and took
Yeah.
a peek at some stuff. So.
Yeah, did you get
Yeah.
anything?
No, I didn't buy anything, but I did walk
I
around.
browsed. Yeah.
Yeah, I browsed. They let you in the warehouse area that
Yeah.
was
I felt
previously
special.
off limits.
I felt special.
We ordered a
Yeah.
mattress set.
Did
Nice.
you? My
Yeah.
time. My
Why not?
timing is I'm never in the right place at the right time. I don't need anything right now. So it was
That's not the American attitude
I know.
I'm looking for. You don't
I
need to
know.
need. You
But
need
it's
what
the
you need.
news,
You need
it's
to buy.
If Eugenia were here, she would have.
Oh,
you
that's right.
now.
Yes. Oh, I'm unhinged tonight.
Yeah.
I'm untethered.
Yeah,
This is good.
without Eugenia here to keep
know,
you
it's-
reined
I
in,
throwing
we're
you off
gonna
balance.
have to step it up, Tom.
I just realized that.
So I have another development question that maybe, and then we can move on. But
Yes.
my other question that I don't have answers to, so nothing's changed, is what the heck is going on over at Caruso's? There's all kinds of people in there. cleaning, moving stuff around. There's something happening there. I don't know what it is, but
I don't know.
a few people have noticed the same thing, and everybody's asking about it. So, stay tuned. We'll have to be on it. We'll find out.
It could be as simple as cleaning out the place because there's a bunch of stuff that the family or people own still. That's
no, it
inside
seems
there.
like sort of more high test than that.
Really?
It seems like
Wow, so there's big
Well,
news.
maybe some of the fans will chime in the comment
let us
section.
know.
They do that.
Let us
Post on
know.
Facebook for us and let us
Yeah.
know.
So I've got another little bit of news. Maybe it's a public service thing. Have you heard this? So did you hear anything? Actually, you and I live next to each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
Nearby. Do you hear anything around 5 o'clock this morning?
That
Like one animal trying to kill another animal sort of sound?
My dog was going crazy in the house this morning at 5 a.m. because of that sound.
Yeah, it was
So it's
it was
really
wild.
weird.
And so there's a couple of posts I've
Yeah.
seen on Facebook. You
I
were
have
talking
too.
about the eagles, but the coyotes.
I've seen. I
Right?
mean, not live. I've seen the Facebook posts, but
right
yeah.
on the corner of the
Right.
street.
Yeah.
And all. So I did a little Googling. I did some research.
Yeah.
Now watch how like Tom does no preparation. I can bring up any topic. He probably has
He's gonna know,
way
yeah.
more authoritative information. But according to safebee.com, here's what you do in a coyote
What is
situation.
safebee.com,
It's
first
one
of
of the
all?
first things that comes up
Okay.
when you Google
All right.
What do I do?
coyote
What do I do
attack.
if a coyote?
Coyotes in my trash. Help me.
Okay. All right. So what do you do?
So grab a noisemaker when you take your dog for a walk. So the
Okay.
coyotes are easily startled by loud noises, according to the Humane Society of the United States. Among the effective tools,
So
air
you should,
horns.
you
Full
should be
circle.
safe. You should be.
I'm feeling good. So I felt like
Yeah.
my blood pressure came down
Yeah, you're like,
immediately
I got
after I read
this.
that.
Perfect.
Make yourself look big. Don't run away. Running away shows fear. It's bad. Make yourself look big.
Okay.
And don't leave pets unattended
Yeah.
outside. So take Blinky the goldfish or
You can bring him
Don't-
inside
don't
for the
leave 'em
night.
out on the porch.
Either that or give him a bullhorn sound to use.
give your pet an air horn.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, that's it. That's
So
it.
just as a note to add to that, I was hiking yesterday in the fells and saw a coyote. It's at lunchtime, the middle of the day. So they're out, like
Yeah.
And how was that interaction? Is it pretty peaceful? Or?
It was peaceful. We were across a woods expanse.
Did you
of,
shake hands?
We chatted for a little bit.
like-
He was doing
Had
fine.
a coffee. You would have taken him for a coffee if there was a place to have coffee, right?
We're getting together again next week for coffee. No, but my dog and I were in the woods, and we saw the coyote across this expanse of maybe 200 yards, and he was up on a little ledge and was standing looking at us across the way, and my dog was looking at the coyote, and he kind of has this sense that he doesn't want to get over there and get tangled up with
Yeah.
it. So he just stood there and looked at it, and then the coyote was watching us for a minute, and then he just wandered off and went deeper in the woods.
Yeah.
A peaceful
A
interaction.
peaceful
Peaceful
interaction.
interaction.
Okay, you
I
were
didn't
right.
have an air horn.
All right. Yeah, that's
I didn't
yeah.
have an
You
air
didn't
horn,
have
but
an
I
air
had a
horn.
Oh yeah, I don't go in the walking
So-
anywhere without it.
Yeah.
So another watch this stupid segue. Another thing that makes noise would be a guitar.
Speaking of noise,
That's all I got.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
So
We're
today,
rolling with it.
So today is, I keep the calendar of crazy holidays.
Yes.
Right. So
Right.
today is National Get Out Your Guitar Day.
Yes.
So I thought you'd like that. So it's only natural that we have a special guest with us here tonight. We have Alastair Moock with us tonight, Melrose resident. Alastair is a 2014 Grammy nominee, two-time Parents' Choice Gold Medal winner, one of Boston's best folk artists. The New York Times calls him a Tom Waits for kids. The Globe declares that in the footsteps of Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie, Alastair Moock makes real kids music that parents can actually enjoy. He makes little distinction between his audience. Music is music, people are people. I just want to tell stories.
Nice.
that's a great
Welcome,
intro.
Alastair.
Nice.
So, hi.
Welcome
You
to
gotta
the
put
show.
This on, I think.
have to put this on?
Yep, you do.
yeah, otherwise you can't hear
You
us.
can't hear all the brilliant things that we
I can hear
say.
you.
He's like, I'm
Just
right.
play along,
We're
play
right
along.
here. I know.
It looks like a TV show, but we're in here headphones.
So before you, Alastair's going to play a song for us before you get started. On March 22nd, at the Buren here locally, Alastair will release a new album about leadership and activism. Be a Pain, it's called, is a call to arms for young and older leaders. It looks to the heroes of our past, like Dr. King, Harvey Milk, Cesar Chavez, Rosa Parks, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and our present day Malala, Parkland students, Greta Thunberg. I added that one. To inspire kids to move the ball forward. And we'll talk a little bit about ways you can learn more about the album after we hear from Alastair. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here. All right, so I'll play a song.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
This is the title track to this new album. If you see something that's wrong, raise your hand to say that's wrong. Point it out and name that thing by its name. Don't stand by and stare. If it's wrong, it's your affair. Don't be quiet. Make a riot. Be a pain. Be a pain. Be a pain. Shout about it and complain. Ignore the crowd and go against the grain. Don't be polite, raise your voice, do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. When Rosa Parks sat on that bus, she chose to make a fuss. She chose to break the rules and take the blame. Her choice to sit and fight helped to bring on civil rights, because one strong woman chose to be a pain. Be a pain, be a pain. Shout about it and complain. When they say you have to move, say I'll remain. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. Harvey Milk, he chose to run for the council board and won, even though folks said you can't because you're gay. One brave LGBTQ elected leader ran and knew you can change things if you choose to be a pain. Be a pain, be a pain. Shout about it and complain. Tell them I won't let you make me feel ashamed. Don't be polite, raise your voice, do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. A tennis star named Billie Jean told the world she had a dream that men and women would be paid the same. She refused to hit that ball till there was equal pay for all. She was a king because she was a royal pain. Be a pain, be a pain. Shout about it and complain. If they refuse to pay, refuse to play the game. Don't be polite, raise your voice, and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. Kids from Parkland led the fight for something they all knew was right. They said it's time for us to finally make a change. If adults can't compromise, we must go march for our lives. They spoke out and led the charge. They all were pains. You guys sing. Ready? Here we go. Be a pain, be a pain. Shout about it and complain. When you're faced with laws you know are just insane. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's really great.
Awesome.
Well done.
Wow,
Thank you.
great song, great
Thank
message. I
you.
love your voice.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you. All right, now I'll put the
Now
headphones
you
on.
can.
Wow, it's too bad we already have a theme song. That could have been the new theme song.
That,
See-
That's what
so-
that's what we aspire, because we need to be a pain a little bit. I think we need to speak up. That's inspiring. That's a good message.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Yeah, it's fabulous.
I think we're getting there one person at a time, but I think you're right. The show itself has to be.
You guys are pains in your own special way.
We want to be the
Respectful and
we want to
polite.
be the grain of sand that creates the pearl,
pearl of change.
in Melrose. Yes,
Melrose.
there you go.
If you
There it
need,
is.
lyrics help, right? here you go. Here
So
you
I
go.
have an actual question. How long did it take you to write that song, and when did you write it? That's a great song. I love the
question.
message. I
Thank
love
you,
the.
Tom. I wrote it about a year ago, and the short answer is that it took me a day.
Yeah.
But the true answer is it took me like 3 years, because I had this album in mind, and I do a lot of social justice work with kids in schools, including here in Melrose. I do this program called Music and Social Change for sixth graders at the middle school for the past 5 years. So I'm steeped in social change music. I teach it to kids, but it's always been in the past, and I wanted to write new music that got into what's going on now.
Yeah.
But it took me several years to find my way in,
Right.
because that's what I've found with writing for kids, which is part of the audience I'm going for here, right, is that you have to find the in. You don't have to dumb anything down, but you do need to find the angle that makes sense to them.
Right.
And when that phrase came up, I was like, that's about how to talk social justice, but it sort of plays on kids' already innate natural instinct to be pains in the butt to begin with, right? Like, to get some of that childhood, like,
Right, exactly. That's so interesting, because you actually kind of answered a question I was thinking about when we were interviewing folks here on Sunday, the Fulbright scholars on Sunday. A lot of them, they're doing this like super complicated research on these really interesting topics, but no matter what their subject area, a lot of them came back and were telling us about how they use storytelling to get their messages across, to tell people why the research, they need storytellers, either they're doing it or they need storytellers to explain why their research is important,
Right.
why we should care about it. And so your work is similar. I mean, you're using music to tell stories, and you're distilling it down to messages in a way that kids can understand. I thought it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What impresses you when you play for kids in that middle school or even elementary school level?
Right.
What impresses you about how they react to that message?
I want to give, an honest thinking through these programs that I've done for years. So that program starts with labor rights and the Great Depression and the union movement. And I used to start there. And usually I found that I had to sort of drag kids through that part of the program. It involved a lot of Woody Guthrie, but it was unfamiliar to them.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. But then when we transitioned into talking about civil rights, I would see kids sit up, and their whole demeanor would change. And I realized that they realized that this had something directly to do with them, right? They get that race matters and that it's still something that has something to do with the America that we live in. In the recent years, the program, I think, has gotten a lot better because I've starting with today and asking kids about protest movements. I've always asked them, but the answers they always gave about protest movements were protest movements from years ago, right? Now, when I ask kids to give me an example of, have you ever heard of a protest movement? What's an example? It's like, oh, last Wednesday. And they're tuned in,
Yeah.
And so I feel, and so we start there. And now I start with pictures of recent protests on both sides of the political spectrum. But the idea of action, of activism, of going out into the street to make change. And I find that kids really sit up. And this song, it seems to make a connection to, they get it. They get this generation of kids in a way that my generation didn't. Our generation, I think, didn't get the idea that they have like a role to play in activism.
And that's an
Exciting.
important message, yeah.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
it's exciting.
I feel like that. I feel like there was a lull. You
There
know
was
what
a
I mean?
lull.
There was like the 60s.
Yeah, I was watching Saturday
then it
morning
was-
cartoons
Yeah.
and Hong Kong Phooey and Happy as Can Be.
That was a good one.
That was my favorite.
Not that doesn't happen now.
Yeah, yeah,
But
true. But
like you mentioned, those people, Greta Thunberg and
Yeah.
the Black Lives Matters kids and the LGBTQ
Right.
leadership, like there's teenagers and 20-somethings that are leading the charge all across the board,
Yeah.
Parkland kids. So I
Yeah.
think kids in middle school, high school see like, oh, I could be right in the middle of something important
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Do you think they see that more because of all the Instagram and Twitter and those sorts of things? Because I feel like there was a lull, but I mean I wasn't watching the news, I wasn't reading the
Right.
newspaper, and so the access to media is like
It-
very different now. Do you get
Yeah.
any of that sense, or?
I think it's that they feel under threat in a way that we didn't. They feel directly, like existentially, that the world is on fire and their country is in turmoil, and they realize there's big stuff happening.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more like the 60s than it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was comfortable for suburban white people like myself in the 80s, and people were comfortable.
So you would say it's not the media as much as the content of the conversation.
I think the
Yeah.
circumstances have
Yeah,
changed.
the circumstances. Okay.
And is there more that the city of Melrose can be doing or should be doing to make sure the conversation happens and everyone has a chance to hear it and participate in that
Yes.
conversation?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I recently learned the school. We've had so much transition in the schools, and I'm only in peripherally. I have 2 kids in middle school, but I only recently found out that that the schools haven't been doing anything around Black History Month, which should be a no-brainer, right? And it's going to start happening. In fact, I think it's going to start happening this week, and next year, hopefully. I've been talking with some people. Hopefully, we'll get a lot more going. There's so many resources here in town, but it takes some work. It takes some work to connect the families of color here in town to the conversation, and I'm not sure that's been happening. And these are steps, and they come in small steps, and you have to build trust. But I think there's a lot we can do.
I think one thing I found about in Melrose, given the opportunity, people will participate and will activate. Somebody's got to start it. I think there's work to that, but there's usually, for a lot of the things I've seen, there's usually a good response.
I think so too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree.
There's a tremendous amount of goodwill here in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious also, just your programming. So I know obviously you're doing the singing, but are you working with kids in classrooms? Is it like Is it at an assembly? You're performing. You're lecturing.
I do a lot of assemblies, which is with large groups of kids.
Yeah.
It's like 50 years of American history in 50 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Right, for 300 plus kids. But I also do writing residencies in smaller groups and workshops.
Oh, cool.
And I really do like that work. Yeah.
Nice.
Can you tell us a little bit? We got about 5 minutes left. Can you tell us a little bit about the March 22nd album release at the Buren and your crowdsourcing for some of that to be able to do more programming? Is that right?
Right. So
And we have a link that we can put
It's
out.
very sophisticated.
Oh, this is a very sophisticated show you're on.
We have an outrageous budget for this kind of stuff.
right.
March 22nd is the show at the Burn, and it's going to be a celebration. There were a lot of people who contributed to this album. I can't, unfortunately, get them all in one place at a time, but I like collaboration, and this album has a lot of it, including from Mark Orelli, who lives here in town, played on the album, sang a song with me, a bunch of Boston people, but then people from outside the area too.
Great.
So we'll be doing that. Oh, the Boston City Singers is a group that sang on the album, and some kids will be coming down and sing from there, which is great.
Cool. Okay.
But the crowdfunding thing is to raise money to help pay for this album, but also for every $1,000 I raise, I'm going to do a free assembly program in an underserved school.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we
Great.
put a link out there. So Let's Talk Melrose fans can check that out and support it. So
We're going to activate the Let's Talk Melrose audience,
Right.
which is
Right.
It is going to be a tidal wave.
Yeah,
tonight.
forget about
it could be overwhelming. You have a
have
pretty
security.
beefy website
yeah,
behind this
it
thing.
might
Yeah.
crash in case
Yeah.
it crashes.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining us and for being here
It's
tonight.
nice to
we're
be
gonna
here,
we're
yeah.
gonna follow along and keep up the good work. I love your work.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Thanks very
Thanks
much.
for being here.
Great having you on.
That was cool.
That was fantastic.
It's music and
inspired.
it's fun and it's also informational and education.
Yeah.
That's what impresses me about that effort is that I think his point was really, really valid, which is that get kids involved, but in a way that they can connect to and understand.
Yeah.
And I think there are many things happening today that kids should know about and do know about.
Yeah,
And so that
and-
is encouraging in some ways.
And don't underestimate kids. I mean, the best thing you can do is tell them that what they're doing matters and that they can make a difference. And that's what he's doing through his song. So it's fabulous.
Love it.
So how do we wrap up, Tom Catalina?
Well, we usually do traditionally wins of the week and
Yeah.
then upcoming events.
Okay.
Who wants to go first with a win of the week? Anybody?
I will be. I'm happy to go first.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. Tom Shampoo.
I am just happy to announce not announce, but happy to read off the Melrose Cultural Council grants for the 2020 calendar year. So they were awarded last fall, I believe. and submissions were due last fall. And so there are 21 local Melrose Cultural Council grantees that are receiving money this year, totaling $12,400.
Nice. Cool.
And I love it because it just reminds me that the Melrose is rich with so many opportunities in so many ways in the arts and the music and dance. And rich.
Now, what's the Melrose Cultural Council? Like, where do they get, that's an organization in Melrose?
It's part of a statewide network supporting community-based projects for the arts,
All right.
humanities, and
it's a branch of
interpretive sciences.
the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and then the funds get funneled through to communities.
There's your answer.
Awesome.
So there you go.
And so I think it's great, again,
Yeah.
because it just reminds us that it's very vibrant here in
Yes.
Melrose. It's
Yes.
terrific.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Cool.
Good win of the week. So one of the things in trying to keep up with all the happenings in Melrose, I go to places like the cityofmelrose.org website, and I was a little frustrated the other day because I was trying to find out about the city council meeting because Kate Lipper-Garabedian had posted some information, and I was going to the website to look for it, and I couldn't find it in one section, and then somebody pointed out to me, I think it was Mike Karaji actually on Facebook, that it's in another section. And it was a little bit sort of confusing. And I think the communication, like we've talked about, is an important issue. Then I noticed on the news section for the last couple of weeks, and I think this is a Mayor Broder initiative, is there's a Monday update going out.
Yeah.
So on Monday mornings, they're putting out a list of all the upcoming meetings, stuff happening at the library, stuff happening in the schools, just a whole thing, all in one spot.
Yeah.
And so it looks like that's been up and running for a couple of weeks. So I think that's a win because anything that improves kind of the communication makes it easier to get at in one spot is a good
absolutely.
win.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a
Okay,
good win, too.
yours were both. Okay, yours were both really poignant and helpful. I was just going to say that we were made honorary Fulbright scholars.
All right.
I mean, come on.
That's a win
That
of
was
the week.
Sunday was my win of the week. It was so much fun. It was so inspiring and really interesting. So
Now, my sound effect for that, I
yeah, what is
noticed
that?
he recognized that you did
I don't. Well, can we talk about who can spell Fulbright if you want to go there?
Whoa, that was, excuse me, that was an off-air conversation, a private conversation that we didn't need to bring on the air. By the way,
privacy, no
if you, by the way, if you're looking up Fulbright, there's only one
There's
L.
one L.
Because you're not fully bright. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
Maybe that's just the title for us with one L.
There's actually a dude.
two separate
It's
ones.
actually like a dude like John Fulbright or something from the early 1900s
Right.
that started the whole thing. But I.
So
Anyway.
I did not go
I'm
on.
sorry, I'm
I did
busting
not
you.
make it because am I a half bright and you were the full? Is that what you're saying? Like the two L's?
Yeah, isn't that ironic? But anyway, that is the way it went down.
Sorry, Tom.
No, that's fine.
Nothing but love.
That's fine.
No, him
Sure,
for busting him on air.
All right.
What was the-
Okay, what are our events?
Well, you know what? You stood in for Eugenia this week.
Yes.
I thought I was safe.
Never.
Yes.
Keeping you humble. Events, upcoming events. I got a quick one. This week only. So the Melrose High School environmental science students are going to be traveling to Costa Rica over February break, which is coming right up next week. They're collecting school supplies and arts and crafts supplies to bring with them. They're going to donate it to a school over there in Costa Rica. But they're leaving on Monday. So there's a donation box set up in the high school lobby. If you have time this week and you want to donate some school supplies, send
That's
it
a
to
great program. My daughter did that,
I know,
and
yeah.
it was a great
Yeah.
great trip. They
Yeah.
have a lot of fun. It's as a parent, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But you guys are used to sending the kids overseas, and that's how you roll.
Yeah, she's excited. It'll be fun.
So I don't really have an upcoming event other than next Tuesday at 8:30. Folks should
Right
tune
here.
in to Let's Talk Melrose,
Yeah,
and then.
always.
And then, despite your ribbing me, you have asked me to co-host quite a event at Follow Your Art
That's right.
next month, along with Sam Hammer.
That's right.
Oh, by the way, do you know who Sam Hammer is with right now?
No.
John Hammer, who apparently is our top fan on
Top
Facebook.
Number one.
So
Top
everybody,
fan.
Number one
everybody
fan.
in the comments, there's an algorithm that's watching
Yeah.
what's happening.
We're keeping
And-
track of everybody.
We are.
We know it.
and for those of you not on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube or on the rebroadcast on MMTV, you got to get on Facebook. There's a whole
Because it's
show.
a whole separate show.
There's a
that
show
happens,
within
yeah.
a show, and the comments.
Right.
down
There's a
there.
comment that just came in that someone's going to get chips in the kitchen. No, don't go until we finish the show. Then you can go get your chips.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Right. So you're right. I did bust your chops, but I need you, Tom. I need you and Sam. You guys are going to MC a really fun music night at Follow Your Art. Stay tuned for details. We're going to launch the information about that this week.
That's the kickoff to spring this year.
MC'd by Let's Talk
at
Melrose.
that.
Melrose, yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
And you have Tom C.
Yeah.
I have an upcoming event also similar to yours. My son Eli is traveling to France with the exchange program at the high school.
Oh la la.
So they leave next Wednesday, the 19th, and they're back on March the 4th. It's possible it's March the 3rd. I have to get
Check. You better check. He'll be waiting at the
good-
airport.
good parent.
Where's
I'll
my
be there one
dad?
of those
I think you'll
Yeah.
be here doing
One of those
election
2
results
days.
on
Yeah.
the 3rd.
There's gonna be.
That's
There's
right.
gonna be. No, I think he's coming home on the 4th.
Okay,
March 4th.
perfect.
So, but again, 22 or 23 kids from
Yeah.
Melrose High School going to France.
Clara
to,
did that one. It's
to
a
do
great
the exchange program with the
Yeah.
kids who came here in the fall. And you're right, it's nerve-wracking. Kids are going to be off into
Oh,
a
they
different
love it.
country, but it
It's-
really
yeah.
is exciting. I
Yeah.
feel like the school does a fantastic job with
Yeah.
the program, and so
Can we
Yeah.
tell the story of when you were overseas and your daughter called you?
that would be the next time.
Okay, that's a
say
good.
that is
a good story.
All right, stay tuned. We'll do
All
that
right.
one.
All right, that's another
All right.
time.
Wow, is that
And with
it?
that- yeah, we're done.
30 minutes already?
No, we went over.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Well,
That's all right,
deservedly so. It was
Yeah.
a great show this week.
It was.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll
Thank you,
see
Alastair.
you
We'll see you
around
around
town.
town, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.